Can you really go home? It's been a thought of mine for a few weeks now. Can you really go home? You know, going on vacation is great, but coming home, even better to me. I'm a homebody. Give you a little view of our garden. It's coming along nicely, and the Lord blessed us with some rain this morning, folks. For church, I mean, we got a good toad strangler. I don't know how many inches, but it was a nice one. We'll take any that we can get. But just a little walk through real quick here before I get to my story. We are getting some zucchinis, yellow squash, and cucumbers. Green beans are blooming. We got some nice looking tomatoes down there. I don't see y'all can get them into the view. I have decided to start picking blackberries today. From what I understand, they can keep in the refrigerator for about 5 days. And then me and my wife are gonna make a blackberry cobbler. So, now, one thing in Georgia, when it rains this time of year, it's uncomfortable after the rain. Humid. So, we're gonna go find a shady spot and discuss some stuff. We're gonna pontificate, as a good friend of mine told me one time. You're a pontificator, Jeff. And I thought, well, I've probably been called worse than that. So, I should have brought my Yeti with me and maybe something to dab my forehead with. I know one thing I'm gonna need is my lighter. Yep, my lighter. So anyhow, yeah, can we truly ever go back home? And I'm gonna try to share my thoughts with you without squalling like a baby, although I might. Lord, here comes the goats running. They think something's going on. I turned them out in the back pasture today, let them get some of the juicy weeds. I've got them out of that pasture, trying to let it catch up some. That's going to be a big production next year, trying to do some pasture restoration here. We've never done much with our pasture except put goats on it. So that's going to be a full-fledged project here on the farm. Now, that didn't work with flip. There we go. From where I'm standing, I can see my bees. I'm not standing, I'm sitting. From where I'm sitting, I can see my bees buzzing out there, and there's a fly catcher going through and snagging one and going to the fence and eating it. But that's all right. Even fly catchers got to eat. You know, a couple of 8-10 years ago, me and my family, we moved our members. Yeah, look at this. Got all over my shirt. My wife's just getting mad. That's my new shirt. Anyway, we moved our membership from the church where I had attended all my life home. And felt like it's same time, so we did. Since then, we've moved back. I guess that's a good thing about being a member of a Country Baptist church. If you feel so led, you can move your membership very easily. Now, I don't know about these bigger Baptist churches, but Country Baptist churches you can. But it made me think about this story I heard one time. This old Country Baptist preacher, he was traveling on a train. And it was a long trip. He was sitting over there and minding his own business, just observing those around him. I guess you could have called him one of them people watchers. And he happened to notice this young feller up in front of him, sitting there, and old preacher could just tell, you know, he's a good judge of character. He could just tell there's something wrong with that young man. And when I say young man, you know, he was still in his 30s. I can say that because I'm 56. But he could just tell something wrong with that young man. And he could tell he was reading something, so the preacher got up and made a pass up that way, realized he's reading his Bible. So on his way back, the preacher sat down beside him. And he said, I see you reading the Bible there, son. He said, yes, sir, I am. He said, I've recently rededicated my life to Christ. And the preacher said, really? He said, yes, sir. He said, well, I tell you what, son. He said, I'm just going to be honest with you. He said, I'm a preacher. He said, I've been preaching all my life. He said, I'm 68 years old. I've been preaching 40 years. Maybe closer to 50. And he said, I could tell that there's something wrong with you. That's why I walked up this way. Is there anything I can help you with? And young man kind of broke down a little bit, and he said, preacher, I believe you might be able to. He said, I don't know. He said, I'm the only son in the family. He said, I'm not going to say I was spoiled, but I was the only son. And he said, and as sons go, as I matured and started maturing into a young teenager, young man, I thought I knew more than my dad. And he said, Mom and Dad was good people. I was not a good son. So he said, as I got older, I began to flex my muscle, really become a bad son. He said it got to the point one day I took a swing at my daddy. And Daddy said, son, you got to go. He said, I'm sorry. Can't have that. You got to go. And I was glad to hear it. He said, preacher, I was glad to hear it. So I was on my own. And I hit the road to my new life. And he said, I wandered around from here to there. Got involved in this and that. And he said, but I wasn't happy. He said, I couldn't find happiness. It wasn't home. And he said, I just didn't have a purpose in life. I couldn't feel satisfied. I tried alcohol and all these other things to try to make myself be happy again. He said, but I couldn't. And he said, preacher, I got in such bad shape. He said, I was staying drunk more than I sober. He said, I would get a job, make just enough money to be able to buy me some booze, and I would quit working until the booze was gone, and then I'd go back and find another job. And the preacher said, well, son, that's no way to live. He said, yes, sir. He said, I know that. I know that now. He said, at the time, I thought I was living a lie. And he said, preacher, finally one night, he said, I had bought me some liquor, and I started drinking, started thinking. And he said, it finally come to me why I wasn't happy. But you know what? It wasn't because I had gotten drunk, because the liquor just didn't seem to have no effect on me no more. He said, I was just numb. And he said, so I finally was able to start crying a little bit and trying to pray some, and fell off to sleep. And he said, middle of the night, he said, I was awoken by my dad's voice. People, that's happened to me. This is Jeff talking. That's happened to me. And he said, preacher, I knew then I had to try to get back home, but I didn't know if I was welcome anymore. He said, so I decided I'm gonna clean up my act. He said, oh, I was a sight, long hair, long beard. I was ashamed to try to go home looking the way I did. He said, so I got cleaned up. He said, I got me another job. And I got enough money saved up to buy this outfit I got on and this train ticket. And to send my mom and daddy a telegram saying that I was going to be in town today. And I'd like to see them. I didn't ask for a response. I just told them, said, if I'm welcome to come back home, that old apple tree out in the backyard, if you'll tie a white ribbon in one of the limbs, I'll know that I'm welcome to come home. And of course the preacher, you know, he saw that the young man was hurting bad. He started trying to soothe him. And he said, you know, son, this is the exact same basis in the scriptures of the prodigal son. The young man said, yes, preacher, I understand it. It's just about word for word. Can you believe that I'm so dumb? I walked right down the road that the prodigal son went down. He said, son, you're not dumb, you're human. You're just human. And they started talking, and the young man really opened up a lot, that preacher. It soothed him to have someone to talk to, someone of a spiritual mentor type to talk to him. And so, you know, the young man was sitting by the window, and he started getting pretty antsy. And preacher said, what's wrong, son? He said, preacher, he said, Mama and Daddy's house just right on up around this bend. And he said, I told him, put that white ribbon out there. Let me know if I was welcome. He said, I just can't stand to look. The preacher said, son, I'll take care of that for you. He said, let's change seats. And I'll be your lookout. And the old boy said, boy, I appreciate it, preacher. You just don't know how much I appreciate that. So they changed seats, and the young man, he actually just started staring across to the other side of the cabin of the train. He couldn't bring himself to even look. He was convinced that his past sins against his mom and dad was going to keep him out of their good graces. So, old preacher's over there. He's still talking to him, trying to keep him, you know, calm down, as a wise old man would do. As they come around that curve and looked up there, old preacher, he just sort of shook his head. He said, son, he said, that apple tree's big. He said, yes, sir. He said, I climbed in that thing. We played in as a child, me and my sister. He said, son, it looks like that tree is in full bloom. Said it's covered with white ribbons. And he said, there's no farmhouse back there behind it. And there's a little old white-haired lady and a little old man in overalls. And they've got a bed sheet. And they're flapping it in the wind like a flag. He said, I think you're welcome home. And of course he looked over at the young man, and kind of like I'm doing right now, squalling his eyes out. So, can you really go home? I told y'all I probably squalled during this. I'm sorry. One reason why I wear my dark glasses. Can you really go home again? I'm here to tell you you can. No matter what kind of issues has arose in your life, as long as you have breath and strength in your body, you can make amends for what's wrong. You can go home. Siblings that's had issues, children that's had issues with their parents, go home, make that call, make that little visit. Don't wait too long. Don't wait too long till somebody's gone and you can't say, I'm sorry. And you know, you might have to eat a big old plate of crow. You might have to swallow your pride. You might have to just agree to disagree. But you can go home. So just don't wait too long. All right, so now y'all have all seen me cry. Something I do not like to do. But I've been trying to figure out how in the world I could share this without crying, and there's ain't no way. Ain't no way. Is that a true story? I don't know. There's a man called Wendy Bagwell. He was a Southern gospel singer, Wendy Bagwell and the Sunlighters. And he was a good storyteller, and that was one of his stories, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I do not take credit for that, but it has a great meaning to it. So, with that being said, I'm done. I've waited about 2 weeks to try to get up the backbone to be able to share this without crying, and decided I wasn't going to be able to, so I decided to go ahead and share it anyway. I'm smoking my Cicini 4-Daughter with my last little bit of Captain Black cherry tobacco. And it's gone out because I've been talking too much. Believe it or not. So, yeah, that old bird out there, he's picking off them honeybees. Yeah, there was a time when I would have went out there and tried to shoot that thing for stealing my honeybees. But heck, he's got to live too. We're going to be doing a honey harvest here in about 2 weeks, maybe. That's always fun. Not. It's work. It's work, people. It's hot and it's sticky. And you know what? Those bees do not like you taking their honey. I don't care how they've acted in the past. They don't like you coming in their house and taking their food. They don't want to go home. They'll kill you on the spot if you or them one's gonna die. So, and thus far, I'm not allergic to them, so hopefully it won't be me. So anyway, if you found this interesting, I appreciate you hitting the like button. Hit that subscribe button. We got quite a few things going on around here. Always trying to leave something. Oh my gosh, I've talked for 17 minutes. I am so sorry. Y'all take care. If it rains your house today, thank the good Lord above. If it didn't, pray that it will tomorrow. Jeff Eubanks. I'll see you later. Bye.